And just like that, we're back with an update on Ethereum. I, decided to kind of come and talk about Ethereum because, Ethereum has gone through a lot. And today it has been, obviously seeing a major move towards the upside. A lot of excitement coming into ETH. What's really happening? What are some next targets? Crypto Twitter is going crazy, for this Ethereum move. Let's really sit together and take a look at, what we're really looking at and, of course, what we could be expecting. So across the market, we're seeing a lot of green across the board. At this point, if you do follow my channel and, watch some of the other updates, you guys know what's happening. You are looking at ETH up 18% with the price currently sitting at $2,221.87. Also up 12.1% in Bitcoin compared with the market cap at $268.1 billion and the 24-hour trading volume at about 38.1 billion. So a lot of excitement coming into ETH. ETH is one of the projects that, in terms of the native token itself, in terms of an asset itself, it has seen a major pullback. So of course a lot of sell pressure, retail interest. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people are not going to and be like, hey, Crypto ZX, and what are you talking about? ETH is pumping right now. But believe it or not, in a grand scheme of things, Ethereum hasn't really seen a lot of attention from retail. And even from an institutional standpoint, maybe OTC, there was obviously some, transfers happening. But in terms of big inflows coming in, it wasn't at the level, you would expect. And a lot of analysts in the crypto space think that, Ethereum didn't really live up to the hype in terms of the ETF. They didn't. So again, we'll see what happens in terms of a project itself. Again, it is a blockchain. ETH is a native token. But obviously, there are other blockchains out there, layer 1s, layer 2s, that are much superior than ETH. And of course, Solana is a perfect example of, just the way it has been able to gain so much traction. But enough with all that. Let's talk about the price itself. At the end of the day, it still has an ETF. It is still, one of the first coins in the crypto market's existence, and it has that first mover advantage. Again, let's really take a look at, what's happening with the price and what are some next targets to be looking out for. Before we do that, as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So if you're looking at the Bitcoin dominance index, we have seen dominance obviously has been skyrocketing pretty much since the beginning of the year. There's no doubts in that. But what you're looking at for the dominance over the course of the last 24 hours specifically right now is, we did see a drop of more than 1%, guys. That is quite a large drop when it comes to the dominance, while Bitcoin has done the complete opposite, breaking towards an all-time high. I'm sorry, not an all-time high, a yearly, wow, not even a yearly high, monthly high of $104,000 for the first time since the beginning of the year. This is quite an important move. Again, you guys know, if you follow my channel, the 23.6 is such an important level that I keep an eye out on. This is where I turn bullish, and pretty much since we've been in this 23.6 fib zone, I have been very bullish on the crypto space, and I've been calling $100,000 Bitcoin, and it has happened. But if you're looking at ETH, we're going to come back to that chart. If you're looking at Ethereum, this right here is the historic price patterns for ETH. Obviously, last cycle it hit a staggering price of almost 4,900, which again is quite an impressive price. But this bull market, you did see ETH retest the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement level three different times this bull market. You can see this for yourself. One was in Feb, second was in the May of last year, and of course the third was in December of last year. And what are you noticing in all three of these? This was all happening last year. Where was the dominance last year? It was much lower than, compared to where it's at now. So, ETH definitely did see a major pullback. We did see Ethereum retesting $1,430, back in April. Just last month, we retested this key support line for the first time since 2023. Since 2023, this is not a small move, guys. And of course, that might have been, the sweet spot. If you are looking at it from that perspective, you are looking at ETH up 60%. So that is great to see. So in terms of the dollar, perspective, the dollar comparative, ETH is not looking as bad as you guys might think, but in Bitcoin comparative, ETH has just plummeted, retesting 2019 levels. again, when you look at it from that perspective, if your end goal is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, a lot of analysts out there, a lot of crypto analysts have called that ETH BTC looks pretty bottom. That they're expecting that ETH to pump up. So again, if you want your Bitcoin to rise, at the end of the day, Satoshi as much sats you want, then of course accumulating ETH into your portfolio is what some of these analysts have done. So obviously, if ETH does tend to go up towards even its all-time high, again here, let's put that into perspective. That itself would be a move of 122%. And I obviously, in terms of ETH BTC comparative, that would mean that you do see Ethereum outpacing Bitcoin, where there's no doubt in that, in my opinion, because of course, valuation. What do I personally think about Ethereum in terms of long term? I personally think there will be another coin such as XRP that will take over the top second spot with the ETF launching. I know a lot of people are not going to like hearing this. I love Ethereum. Don't get me wrong. I love Ethereum. It's one of the first coins that I have ever bought in the crypto space. I'm a very, very early, adopter on ETH. If you go watch my old videos, obviously I've been in the space since 2016 when Ethereum was literally $7 to $8 a pop, and here we have it. I've seen it go from that to $5,000. But when it comes to reality, we need to understand that there are better coins out there. Ethereum is more of seen as a store of value. I don't care what people say about Ethereum blockchain, this and that. There's other chains that are being adopted much better at a record level compared to ETH. But again, in terms of a store of value, it definitely has that for itself. Like I said, I personally think there will be another coin that will be able to come and take over Ethereum's spot. But let's take a look at what we could be expecting. So Ethereum has seen a 61.8 retest pretty much the first time since March of this year. Obviously, you can see this for yourself where we currently are. We do have significant amount of resistance coming in our way. But if this resistance is able to break out, do expect a $2,369. But most importantly, the 0.50 fib zone retest at $2,500 ETH. That is a level to be watching out for, because if that is able to flip out, I think we could see $2,750 Ethereum quite fast. So far so good. Like what I'm seeing here. I'm going to take it one step at a time. If you want to see more of these Ethereum updates, do let me know in the comments down below, and of course let me know your personal thoughts down on ETH. Love you all. See you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.